OMG's boys, girls, in betweeners, Red Gamer back here with a quick little video with 5 tips for Ivy beginners. Now, if you're looking to pick up the Serpentine sword-wielding mistress, you might find her a little bit harder to use than some of the more noob-friendly characters like, say, Nightmare or Taki. So I'm here to give you a few quick tips. We won't have a full tutorial just yet because I haven't had enough time to really get to grips with the character, but I've certainly got enough time to really show you guys some really quick things if you're just a beginner, you're starting out, and you want to try and get some damage in, get some wins on the board. This is going to be some stuff that can hopefully help you out. So tip number 1. Now this might seem obvious, but Ivy is a zoning and spacing style character. That means that she can fight at a close range if she needs to, but she is most definitely better off suited to attacking from the longer ranges and keeping her opponent out. She's got a lot of good moves for this, and I'm going to get into those shortly, but essentially that's the one thing to keep in mind, is that you really want to be, at most of the time, trying to keep people away from Ivy. You want to be kind of fighting more comfortably around this kind of range, or even a little further out. Once they get in closer around this kind of range here, you're definitely at more of a disadvantage, especially against characters like Taki, Sophitia, and the like. So always bear that in mind. Well, she can fight this range, she does have moves for this, but it's definitely not recommended. Her repertoire really works a lot better when she is working more from this range and beyond. Now, that said, she does actually have a really good get off me move, which is holding forward while pressing 1-1, which will get you this. Now that is a really great move because you can see how far it pushed Taki outwards on hit. Difference being is that it also works just as well on block. So here we have Taki guarding all moves that will hit her, and as you can see, same move, still has an awful lot of pushback, and it leaves you at some really ideal distances for moves that we can go into in just a moment. Alright, tip number 2, Ivy's critical edge. Now, every character in this game is a critical edge, obviously, and it is a great move because it does so much freaking damage. For one button and one bar, you are going to get a ton of just absolutely comeback, rage-inducing damage, which is going to leave, again, also losing actually a favorable distance for Ivy because she actually can just back up or go for a mix-up or anything like that. Problem is with Ivy's critical edge is that not all critical edges are created equal, and compared to the rest of the class, Ivy's is actually quite slow in terms of startup. So this tool is not really ideal as a get off me button, because if you spam this button out when someone's trying to hit you, granted all the critical edges in this game don't have complete invincibility on startup, but Ivy's is a little worse than most just because hers takes longer to get out. So with that bear in mind, you really don't want to be trying to use this as a wake-up tool. You don't want to be using it as an option for trying to punish other critical edges, things like that, because just because she has that little pirouette at the start, for the startup animation, she's really at a disadvantage in terms of that. It just takes too long to get out there, basically at the end of the day. So this is the kind of tool that you really only want to use when you can either confirm into it by using a combo or a stun or something like that, or if you have just an option for a really hard read, essentially. So just bear that in mind. There are obviously, you cannot use other uses for the meter aside from just the critical edge, and learning when to critical edge with Ivy is a very important part of trying to improve at this game. Tip number 3, make your opponent afraid to approach. Now, once you start to get the hang of Ivy's long-range moves, starting to learn how to use them to make your opponent afraid to actually get close to you is really the name of the game, because Ivy has so many moves which will work at different ranges. It's really important to start learning what each of those moves are and the best opportunities to use them. So I'm just going to run through a few of them right now. Some of the most effective and easy ones that I've found to use that will hopefully be able to help you out as well if you're not aware of them. Tip number 4. Ivy's reversal edge has a short range and is easy to sidestep. Now, we've talked about how Ivy has a repertoire of moves which work best at mid to long range. You don't want to be hanging out too close, and it's very tempting to go for Reversal Edge, because it is the Noob Crusher. It is the one move which everyone loves to spam, myself included, that is really good for just going into that rock, paper, scissors guessing game and trying to get some good damage on your opponent. But however, because, like I said, we've talked about, she has this long-range repertoire that you want to be taking advantage of, this move comparatively, quite short range. So you have to be quite close to your opponent to actually be able to use this. She does take a step forward while she uses it, going into the animation, but even so, it's not at an advantageous distance for Ivy. So you want to be very aware of that, and because the attack hits vertically, it is extremely easy to sidestep, and I've had a lot of people do that to me, so you have to be very wary when you want to use this and when you want to throw it out. Now obviously you have 3 different options available to you when using Reversal Edge. I've found that B is the best button to use in the early stages of the game just because it'll give you the best damage and the biggest reward for it. You get a lot of damage with this whip follow-up here, as you can see there. We got a good chunk out of Taki's life bar, and also we got a lot of meter out of that. You can't see that right now just because of this, but if I turn this off, and we do this again, we just mash the crap out of B. As you can see, we are building meter like nobody's business, and we get 1 full bar out of that. So that's going to be a go-to option. Obviously you don't want to go for it too much because you'll become predictable, so you need to be able to mix it up like the basic premise of the rock, paper, scissors is, but just be aware that that's going to be your go-to option early on. Tip number 5, mix things up. We talked about in tip number 1 and tip number 3 that Ivy is all about the range game. She's all about the different opportunities that she has with different moves, trying to keep her opponent out. Now, that's really cool and all, but if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, you're going to make yourself become predictable, you're going to be easy to read, and it's not going to work. You're going to get diminishing returns on what you try to do to your opponent. So mix things up, and more importantly, also be aware of how each attack works. For example, this particular attack is great, has a very long range, it's quite quick to be able to snipe someone out, but it's a vertical attack, so it's very easy to sidestep. It has no horizontal movement whatsoever. By contrast, this particular move has a lot of horizontal distance to it, but it can be crouch blocked. So things like that, be aware of what they're doing. If someone is just running straight in, this is more of an option for you. Command grab is more of an option for you. But if they're going for a more of a sidestepping kind of approach, you want to be trying to use this. Or if they're crouch blocking a lot, you want to be able to use this because it hits special middle. Things like that. Always be looking for ways to be able to keep them on their toes and let them know that you're going to stay 1 step ahead of them no matter what. Anyways guys, that is it for me. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. I would love to be able to get back to you and answer them as quickly as I can. In the meantime, let me know if you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you would like a more detailed breakdown of Ivy as a character as a whole. In the meantime, kisses, hugs, belly rubs. I'll see all of you very soon.